Welcome back to another edition of Fly Tying for Beginners with Jim Mashura. Today we're going to tie an Adams gnat. The hook that I have in the vise is a Maruto. It is a D31 SSC size 14. This is a dry fly, fine wire, nice wide gap, very sharp, barbless hook. I'm going to use gray thread. This just happens to be 16-aught. You could actually use an 8-aught thread. And we're going to put a base of thread down. Let's start just in the back of the eye, and we're going to go to just inside the point of the hook. Can't say the barb because there's no barb on this. And you always hold your thread there at about a 45-degree angle, and it pushes your wraps nice and tight. We're going to go ahead and break that off. Now the first thing we're going to do, an Adams has two colored hackles. One is a ginger and one is a grizzly. And I use these furnace ones because I got a really beautiful furnace hackle. And these are both saddle hackles. And now instead of giving it the crew cut, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove the barbs from the bottom. And now, when you put them together to tie them on, you got one barb on that grizzly getting out of the way. Okay, when you go to tie them on, make sure that the barbs are lined up. Meaning you don't want one hackle there and one there, where you want to keep that stripped area nice and equal. We're going to tie these on together, and the reason I didn't give it the crew cut is because you can go ahead and strip that. That is almost the length of the hook shank, and that's going to hold it in place. I'm going to go ahead and tie this in, and we do want to leave a little bit of the stripped hackle sticking out, which that one was a little bit too much. I'm going to back that off a second and go a little bit tighter. I shook, and we're going to just secure that right down, and you can see I got a bit of the stripped on the exposed, and I'm going to bring the thread back to the tie-in point. Now that one hackle that I saw, I'll just snip that off. Now you can use an Adams Gray Superfine, or you can use beaver. I'm going to use the beaver. And we're not going to make a hair thin dub noodle, but we're going to make a skinnier noodle. We don't want to get this really heavy. I think one of the attributes of a gnat style fly is having a skinny body. And the gnat style flies, they're not meant to imitate anything in particular, but they imitate a struggling insect. So I make some that are for the sulfur hatch. And here is the sulfur gnat. Of course, I make it the original Griffith's gnat with the peacock herl, and that's got a little bit of green shiny in there with the peacock herl. And I make several different let's make them several different ways. And this is going to be the Adams with 2 hackles. So we're going to just go ahead and wrap this. And we're going to wrap this, and we're going to stop about 1 eye length from the eye of the hook. If I went a little bit too far, I'll just wrap that down and bring that thread to that 1 eye length. Don't worry about those small guard hairs. Now I'm going to take my hackle and I'm going to take them both at the same time. And because I have that little bit of stripped area, I'm going to give it 1 wrap, and now I'm going to start counting. You want to keep them together. Once, twice, 3 times is all you want, and bring it to the top. And the reason we only want 3 is because we actually have 6 wraps of hackle on there, being that we have 2 hackles. We're going to secure that with 3 or 4 wraps. Then I'm going to bring it back, and I'm going to wrap directly right in front of it, and even rub up against it a little bit. Don't pin it backwards, but just rub up against it so you get a nice tight trapping. Now I'm going to take my poke and snip, and I'm going to remove the hackles. I think using the cuticle trimmer, aka poke and snip, is better than trying to go in there with scissors, and with scissors you're going to remove hackles that you don't want to remove. Now there's a little bit of a couple of hackle barbels sticking out forward. I'm going to take my half hitch tool once, twice, and I'm going to get that knot right underneath there. I'm not necessarily going to stand it up. If I wanted to stand it up, you could see those front ones. I can push them and stand them up. I'll do it on this for the demonstration. But having those on this particular fly stick out towards the front, not a big deal. Yeah, we're going to give that like 3 wraps, or half hitches, double half hitches. Take your poke and snip again, trim that. I'm going to put head cement on there. Clean your brush off really well. I've said it before, make sure you have a nice fine point on your brush. Now I'm going to turn the fly around to find that little bit of opening that's best to get my little brush in there. And the bottom was it on this one. You don't need to get hackle or glue all the way around. You don't need to put a whole bunch on there. And if you do happen to get glue in the eye, just take a feather, one of the hackles that you were using, and put it through the eye, and it will clean it out. And so here is an Adams gnat. Hope that you learned something from this video. Hope that you would subscribe to my channel. Please refer me to your friends. Please visit my sponsors. Let them know I sent you. If you'd like to purchase any of the flies that I make, go to etsy.com/shop/theflymanjim. And if you don't see it on there, just send me a message through there and we'll figure it out. And most of all, I thank you very much for watching my videos.